learning his players. I would think his first probably job is to learn about his players, watching a lot of film, talking to the Elliott Wolf and anybody that was here last year, and just get your opinions on XYZ guys. And you start each player has probably their own kind of file, and this is what we think. What do we want to do? Do we want to extend this? Do we want to? Do we think we can improve with on this player? And so they're going through each player position by position and kind of having a state of the dress for each of those players. I think that probably is his number one job right now.
100%.
Learn his roster.
He can't decide who to draft, sign, trade for, whatever, until he knows what he has, right? Whatever. And we may think it's a small pool of foundational talent or whatever, but he needs to know what he has at all levels. Maybe he has, he's comfortable, he's got a third guard. Okay, so I don't need a third guard. I need starters or whatever. And he has to do that at every position and be prepared so when the combine starts. Because the combine isn't just learning the college prospects. It's the big old convention that is the NFL, pre-free agency, starting to have talks with teams.
A little scuttlebutt over cocktails or a steak dinner.
Oh, yeah.
That's that's pre-tampering, right?
Well, yeah, I mean, that's tampering, but yeah, it's pre-tampering. We'll call it pre-tampering.
It's all legal now, right? I mean,
no, but
legal.
If we all do it, then they can't fire us all or tow all the cars on the street.
So let's go streaking.
What was the Hard Knocks where we saw the general manager? Was it Joe Schoen?
Yep.
Joe Schoen, yeah.
Joe Schoen, the Joe manager for the Giants. Didn't he walk over to the the suite where the Patriots were, and Elliott Wolf, and hey, Elliott, can I talk to you for a second?
Yep.
So that was at the combine, Fitzy. There's they do talk at the combine about draft order. Would you be open to maybe trading your pick? I'd be curious. Maybe. My guess is at the combine, Mike will be talking to teams and his guy Ryan Cowden about potential maybe trade offers at the fourth position. So it's probably a lot of draft and it's a lot of understanding your roster, Fitzy. That's what Mike's trying to do right now.
Right on.
So we are going to look at that Patriots team that Mike Vrabel is learning right now, much the way that ESPN did. And they came out with their, what did they even call them? Early Power Rankings 2025, when nothing has happened. Nothing has changed. We know where the teams are picking. We know how much cap space they have. We know how good they were last year. We know free agents. But other than that, nothing other than Jeremiah Farms is really happening with any of these teams. Where would you get, you already know, Fitzy, so I'm not even going to play the game. The Patriots ranked 24th on ESPN's Power Rankings. It's funny because at first it jumped out to me. I was like, that seems high. You're picking fourth in the draft, and yet they have 8 teams behind you. So they got you a little high. But then I scroll down. Carolina's 25th. Jacksonville's 26th. Those are 2 teams that I think you could argue you could put ahead of the Patriots, quite honestly.
I would put them at – okay. Oh, yeah. Really, ahead of them.
Absolutely.
Carolina.
Okay. Absolutely.
I'd love to see that matchup next year.
They're in year 3. I also want to call out
year 3 of that Bryce Young.
Yeah, and I want to call out one of our guests. Love him, mean it, Adam Schefter. But I still remember when Bryce Young was benched and Adam Schefter was like, his career in Carolina is over. He'll never play another game for Carolina. Well, he played more games this year, and by all accounts, he's their quarterback. They're sticking with Bryce Young at the quarterback position. They didn't fire their coach. They didn't fire their GM, so they're building a little continuity or stability there. Jacksonville was a team that people thought was going to be good last year with Trevor Lawrence and Doug Peterson, and it didn't work. Now you got Liam Cohen, but I think you can argue both of those teams are ahead of you. Then you get New Orleans Saints, who don't have a quarterback and just hired their coach. I'm fine with them being behind you. Las Vegas Raiders don't have a quarterback and have a really old coach. And then the Jets, the Browns, the Giants, and the Titans.
All need quarterbacks.
I agree with all that. I agree.
All the teams,
they're in the right spot.
All the teams except for 2. So 6 of the 8 teams that are behind you don't have quarterbacks.
They deserve to be behind you.
So they deserve to be, because at least we have the quarterback.
Absolutely. Yeah. So 24 is not necessarily high. The closer I look at it. And this is one of those things that ESPN does where they have their local writer write a little blurb to go with the power ranking. So, of course, that means it's Mike Reese in italics next to this little paragraph.
This opening line's interesting.
First-year coach Mike Vrabel will be the primary decision-maker in building the team in his vision as the Patriots targeted him to help spark a turnaround. The Patriots are coming off back-to-back 4 and 13 seasons under former head coaches Bill Belichick and Gerard Mayo. Vrabel said the presence of rookie Drake Maye, a, quote, young dynamic quarterback, unquote, was one of the top reasons he was interested in the job, and now the goal is to put pieces around him. It's what you just said, Ted. Part of the reason Vrabel's here, part of the reason the Patriots are at 24 or ahead of another chunk of teams is Drake Maye. Yeah. They have a young quarterback. That can go sideways in a hurry. We could be at November and be like, oh, my God, Drake Maye is not who we thought he was. This has gone horribly wrong. But for the here and now, in February, the stability, quote unquote, of Drake Maye, and I think the feel-good nature of Mike Vrabel. Who do you feel better about, Mike Vrabel or Liam Cohen?
I feel a little better about Mike Vrabel, to be honest.
As you should. He's a former coach of the year. That poor guy.
And he's done it before, so he's got a track record.
He's done it before.
Yeah.
You know, he doesn't have the real bad look press conference meme thing hanging over his head. And I would even argue, I mean, is Drake Maye a hotter QB prospect? Yeah, I'm not even going to ask it. I'm going to say it. Drake Maye is a hotter QB prospect right now than Trevor Lawrence.
Oh, without question.
Trevor Lawrence is a $250 million quarterback.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Trevor Lawrence, though, has just gotten battered. Ted, is there any sort of just like lingering sort of like, I need to see a half season more of Drake Maye to stamp him like one of the top 12 or top 15 in the NFL? Do you need to see a full season, or do you just want to see him pick up where he left off with Josh's tutelage and cutting down on the picks?
I'd say more of the latter than the former. I think he's a dynamic player. You know, well, Ted, he won one game. It's like, yeah, but you know, I feel like a lot of times those turnovers were because he was pressing, because the team was behind. To me, he flashed so much last year. And when you flash as much as he does and you don't come up the wins, I look at, well, what was his offensive line like? One of the worst. What was his wide receiver group? Probably the worst. What was his coaching? Not the best. And so those are all factors I look at and I go, okay, well, there's something that explains why the wins didn't come with his flashing. He flashed. He flashed a lot. There was a lot of plays where I was like, oh, my gosh. I do a breakdown show with Phil Perry on NBC Sports Boston every Monday in the season, and just normal little outlet throws, sidearm throws. He got a guy in his face, just the arm angles he would throw, throwing on the run, throwing across his body, never letting plays. You watch him; he doesn't let a play ever in to the very last second. That touchdown he threw to Ramondre Stevenson against Tennessee to go into overtime. He was getting hit as he's going down. There's so many things to be excited about this kid that I'm not ready to sit here and go, well, he hasn't won anything. Okay, give me a good serviceable offensive line and a serviceable wide receivers and a good coach in Josh McDaniels. I bet you it's a totally different deal this year.